I secretly underwent a heart transplant for Luke and his beloved white moonlight. While everyone thought I was dead, I was actually lounging on a sunny beach island, soaking up the sun. Everything was perfect until one day, Luke discovered the urn supposedly holding my ashes was filled with baby formula. Oops, busted. I first realized I was immortal when I was 7. My alcoholic father got drunk and smashed an empty liquor bottle over my head again and again until shards of glass littered the floor. I could feel the blood slowly draining from my body, the cold seeping into my bones. Just when I thought I was about to die, a warm current surged through me, and my body came back to life on the brink of death. So when Jessica asked me for my heart, I nodded without hesitation. Just a heart, right? I couldn't die anyway. And it would save someone. Why not? I lay on the cold operating table, felt the anesthesia drip into my veins, my consciousness blurring, yet even then, the first person I thought of was Luke. I met him when I was 18, working at a bar. After my father died, I had to earn money during school breaks. I landed a job as a waitress. The place was chaotic, but the pay was good. It was the only job that could cover my living expenses before summer ended. That night, Luke was drunk. The first thing he said to me was, "I want to keep you." I nodded and agreed without missing a beat. My blunt response shocked everyone there, including Luke. Nobody turns down money, especially when the man offering it is young, rich, and handsome. By any measure, I was getting the better end of the deal. That very night, he took me to a huge condo downtown. I'd only seen houses like that on TV. I couldn't help but look around curiously. But even that small action made Luke frown. "What's your name?" he asked. "Jennifer." "Jennifer? That's unique," he said. I gave a shy smile, trying to play the role of a kept woman properly. "Give me your card number. I'll send money to it regularly. I'll let you know when I'm coming over. There's a housekeeper here during the day. Ask her if you need anything. I like piano music. You'll take 2 piano lessons a week. In a month, I'll test your progress. If you fail, our arrangement ends." He said it all methodically, word by word. A big house, no worries about tuition or living expenses, even free piano lessons. It felt like I'd hit the jackpot. I promised Luke right then I wouldn't let him down. Before he left, he glanced back at me a few times. But his eyes were seeing through me, looking at someone else. Not that I cared. And so it went. I stayed with Luke for 3 years, then another 3. From 18 to 24, I watched the balance in my account grow and started thinking about faking my own death. After all, my dream had always been to live carefree and fabulously. I'd made it almost. I just needed the carefree part. I was deciding between a car crash, drowning, or jumping when Luke's white moonlight came back. I knew from our first night together that someone else already lived in his heart. I was just a stand-in. So all along, I worked hard to please my sugar daddy, hoping he'd loosen the purse strings a bit more. I studied that woman in his heart with care. After 6 years, people in our circle all knew about me. So when Jessica came back, someone immediately messaged me to gloat, "The fake can never replace the real one. Now that she's back, what are you gonna do? You've stolen someone else's love for so long. Shameless." I looked at the messages and shrugged. What could I do? All I could do was lie by the villa pool, eating fresh fruit flown in from overseas, sipping $1,000,000 wine from Luke's collection. Oh, and take helicopter rides along special routes to admire the motherland's vast beauty. In winter, I soaked in private hot springs and skied on exclusive slopes. That's all I could do. But thinking I'd have to give this up soon did sting a little. I pulled out my phone and splurged. I couldn't leave without treating myself right. Watching the endless list of orders scroll down cheered me up. I was just about to enjoy the king-size bed all to myself tonight when I heard the front door open and the sound of Luke changing shoes. I checked my phone. 6:30. I was surprised. Jennifer, his white moonlight of so many years, had returned. So why was he home so early? Shouldn't they be catching up, chatting, dining, drinking? Stop it. Not everyone thinks like I do. Not everyone's that twisted. I sighed, fixed my expression, and went to greet him only to freeze when I saw the familiar box in his hands. "Jennifer, How many times have I told you? Don't send things like this to the company. Inside was a black sheer lace nightgown. But do you like it? I lifted my chin and asked. Luke sighed, as if helpless. Yeah, I like it. I curled my lips. So what if he liked it? In Luke's heart, Jessica would always come first. Over the next few days, I barely saw Luke around, which suited me just fine. No need to guess what he was thinking anymore. For the sake of my future happiness, I began quietly transferring the money I'd gotten from him over the years. Once I make it through this birthday, I'll be gone, I whispered. My birthday was in half a month. Since meeting Luke, he'd celebrated every birthday with me. I wanted him to join me for one last one. The day Luke came back, I had fallen asleep on the couch after binge-watching dramas. I was jolted awake by the heavy scent of alcohol. When I opened my eyes, I was in Luke's arms, staring right into his bloodshot eyes. I don't know why, but my hand reached up and gently brushed his eyes. Been busy lately? Yeah, something tricky came up. Once I take care of it, I'll have more time for you. I nodded obediently, suppressing my curiosity and choosing not to ask what it was. All right, you go to bed first. I've got a few more things to handle. I lay alone on the soft bed, wide awake. Luke's exhausted face kept flashing in my mind. I couldn't help myself. I got up, went to the kitchen, and made him a cup of honey water. Standing at the study door, I hesitated. Was this really something I should be doing? While I stood there, uncertain, I overheard his phone call. I'll pay whatever it takes. Jessica's body can't wait any longer. I know. Finding a compatible heart is almost impossible. So that's why he was so busy looking for a heart donor for Jessica. I turned around, went downstairs with the cup of honey water, and poured it straight down the kitchen drain. Then I climbed into bed and slept as if nothing had happened. When I woke up, there were faint traces that someone had slept beside me. But the warmth was already gone. He must have left a while ago. When Luke came back that night, he reeked of alcohol again, eyes bloodshot from exhaustion. Is this trouble really that hard to fix? He buried his face in my neck and let out a quiet, I sighed and gently patted Jessica's Luke's back. I messaged the person who'd once mocked me and asked for Jessica's hospital. It was a private one, with Luke as the biggest shareholder. He'd arranged for Jessica to be cared for in his own hospital. When I saw her, I was surprised. Illness had ravaged her. She was skin and bones, her large eyes bulging in a way that was almost frightening. She was just as surprised to see me. You look a lot like how I used to. Do I? Well, not anymore. I look more like the old you than you do. Jessica clearly hadn't expected that. She was stunned for a moment before finally giving me a faint smile. I curled my lips. Bullying a sick woman wasn't exactly satisfying. I just got tested for compatibility with you, I said. Jessica frowned. Compatibility? Yeah, for a heart transplant. Her frown deepened. If it's a match, I'll give you my heart. The hospital where Jessica was staying had been established by Luke after learning about her congenital heart disease. For years, it had specialized in researching congenital conditions. In just a few short years, its techniques had become world-class, but all of it was for the woman in that bed. In a place like this, I could get tested as long as I was willing. After I said my piece, I turned and left the room. Let Jessica think it over on her own. The compatibility results came back quickly, an excellent match, almost as if tailor-made for Jessica. I frowned, feeling a little reluctant deep down. That night, Luke didn't have that tight crease in his brow, nor did he reek of alcohol. His eyes glowed when he looked at me. He rushed forward and hugged me tightly. Jennifer, I can finally spend the night with you. A self-mocking smile flashed across my face. I stiffly raised my hand and patted his back. Okay. Honestly, if he'd just thought a little harder, he would have realized it was me who got tested. But he was too happy his Jessica was going to survive. Everything at work taken care of? I pushed him back slightly so we were face to face, hoping he might tell me the truth. But he didn't. Yeah, it's all handled. I can finally be with you. Okay. That was the last chance I gave him, and he still chose to lie. I visited the hospital again later and added Jessica on my contacts. Why would you give me your heart? she asked. Because I don't want to live anymore. Clearly, she didn't buy that. So I made something up. I'm sick too. Won't live much longer. Figured I'd do something good before I die to earn some karma. Seeing her half-skeptical expression, I smiled and walked away. She wanted to live so she wouldn't tell Luke. She couldn't risk it. Even though we were a perfect match, I was still alive and kicking, which meant Jessica still had no access to my heart. But since I agreed, I'd keep my word. I asked her attending physician without a suitable donor. She had about a month left to live. So I gave myself 2 weeks to say goodbye to Luke. My birthday's in a week. You've been so busy lately, you haven't spent any time with me. I lay on Luke's back, burying my head against his neck, mumbling softly. He put down his work and let out a helpless chuckle, gripping my wrist. Anything you want for your birthday? I slid onto his lap and pouted. If I like it, I'll just use your card to buy it. Suddenly, I remembered something one of Jessica's friends had told me. Luke had once bought an entire bay to propose to Jessica after she graduated. That tiny flicker of competitiveness surged inside me. What if I said I want a ring? I wrapped my arms around Luke's neck and stared into his eyes as I spoke. The air turned still. Only our breathing remained, and the loud thudding of my heart, ba-dump, echoed in the silence. To break the tension, I forced a smile. I'm only 24. I'm not done having fun yet. Marriage isn't on the table. Jennifer, you're so mature. Yeah. 6 years, and all I got was, you're so mature. Jennifer, what are you still hoping for? When I left the study, I took a deep breath, trying to swallow the tears welling up, but I failed. They streamed down my cheeks. I might be some kind of immortal freak, but I could still love. And so could Luke. He just didn't love me. The next day, I received Luke's birthday gift. It practically filled the entire living room. Standing at the top of the stairs, I looked down at all that stuff and felt strangely at peace. Our relationship had always been transactional. To Luke, I was just something that obeyed as long as he paid. We each got what we needed. I was just greedy, that's all. Once I accepted that, everything cleared up. I ran downstairs in my slippers and started ripping open boxes. Might as well take what I liked and return the rest for cash. These were the funds for my future happiness, after all. That thought gave me even more energy. In no time, I'd sorted everything out and called the luxury resale service. Watching my account balance rise, whatever sadness I'd felt the night before vanished completely. No one hates money, especially not someone like me, who'd been poor for too long. Seeing the half-empty living room, I made another call. Hey, Kristen, get over here. Kristen was my childhood friend and the only one who knew my secret. A few minutes later, a tall, stunning woman appeared in the living room. Same rules as always, take what you like and send the rest to the usual spot. I winked at Kristen, and she shot me an okay before getting to work. The usual spot was the place I'd prepared for my faked death, a secret haven only Kristen and I knew about. When are you planning to go? I need to prep ahead of time. 2 years ago, for my great escape plan, Kristen had transferred from a public hospital to Luke's private one. Soon, after my birthday. Okay. After Kristen left, I pulled out my phone and sent Luke a message. Love you so much. With a picture of the gifts I'd unwrapped in advance. It didn't take long for him to reply. As long as you like them. The night before my birthday, Luke didn't come home. No need to guess he was with Jessica. I sat on the swing on the balcony, lit a cigarette under the moonlight. Only when Luke wasn't around could I be myself. I had never been the refined, well-bred Jessica type skilled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Pretending to be her for 6 years had me thoroughly sick of it. I raised my hands and mimed the motions of playing the piano, then let out a snort of laughter, grabbed the wine glass beside me, and downed an 8-figure bottle of wine Luke owned. Then I stumbled into bed and passed out. Happy birthday, babe! The first birthday wish I got that day was from Kristen. I replied with a kiss emoji, got out of bed, and went to wash up. It was my birthday and the day I'd say bye-bye to Luke. Of course I had to look stunning. Did you plan a surprise for me tonight? I texted Luke. Of course. Wait for my message tonight. He replied almost instantly. I was honestly a little curious what kind of surprise it would be. So once I got myself ready, I sat on the living room couch, waiting for Luke's so-called message. Night fell. I glanced at the five-figure takeout meal on the table. I'd already eaten most of it. No need to wrong myself while waiting. I'd ordered all the food I wanted and even went on a shopping spree. But after placing the orders, I realized I'd be leaving soon. Having them delivered here meant I wouldn't be able to get them. So I sulked for a bit. Why isn't it ready yet? I checked the time. It was already 10 p.m. Any later and my birthday would be over. He wasn't answering my texts, wasn't picking up my calls. Forget it. I ordered a birthday cake. Not custom made, but it would do. After eating a slice, I called Kristen. Get ready. Your sugar daddy's been with Jessica all night. Figured. I'm coming. I hung up. I drove out of the villa in the flashiest sports car from the garage. The highway was nearly empty at that hour. I welcomed my new life in the night breeze. To ensure everything went perfectly, I headed toward Luke's private hospital, planning to die in a car crash. But plans never keep up with change. Just as I was cruising along, a large truck slammed into the back of my car, a loud crash. Then, silence. So this is what a car crash feels like, not painful at all. That was my first thought. I vaguely felt someone pulling me out of the wrecked car, frantically trying to resuscitate me. Hang in there, just a little longer. Sweat dripped onto my cheek warm. All I could think was, stop saving me, please stop. If they brought me back, my plan to fake my death would be ruined. Maybe my prayers worked, because I felt my body growing lighter, my soul lifting into the air. From above, I watched the young man still trying desperately to save me. Sorry about that. An ambulance came wailing down the road. It was Luke's hospital. I watched my body being loaded onto the stretcher, followed it into the ambulance. Outside the OR, a doctor held up the organ donor consent form I'd signed. The woman who died in the car crash is a perfect heart match for Miss Jessica. We can proceed with the transplant immediately. I clearly saw the joy light up Luke's face. It was past midnight, and just like that, on my birthday, I said goodbye to Luke forever. I wanted to see how Luke would react once he found out the truth, so I hovered in the air, refusing to return to my body. Jessica's surgery went extremely well. Only then did Luke seem to remember me. He pulled out his phone and called me. The ringtone rang for a long time, but no one picked up. I saw him frown. He probably thought I was throwing a little tantrum again. But this time, I really wasn't. Then he walked straight into Jessica's room and sat beside her, waiting for her to wake up. That's when Kristen stormed into the room and slapped Luke hard across the face, just as we'd planned for dramatic effect. Luke was clearly stunned. Using Jennifer's heart to save your first love. You're a fucking animal. Kristen's eyes were red as she screamed the line, then took my body home. Luke stood frozen, not yet processing what had happened. It took him a while to move. Then he grabbed Jessica's attending doctor. That woman brought in from the crash tonight, what was her name? Luke could barely get the words out. She was a friend of Dr. Tony's, the doctor replied. I think her name was Jennifer. Such a pity today was her birthday. The doctor shook his head as he spoke. Luke stood there for a long moment, then suddenly doubled over, gagging violently. It can't be her. She was waiting at home for me to celebrate her birthday. She was only 24. Doctor, why didn't you save her? I heard Luke scream hysterically as he ran toward the operating room like a madman. The doctors had no choice but to call security. They held him down and gave him a sedative. But none of that mattered to me anymore. I drifted out of the hospital. If you don't go back in, your body's gonna start rotting, Kristen said into the air, clearly annoyed. I floated above her and watched as she cremated me in just one night, impressively efficient. Now even if Luke shows up, all he'll find is your urn. So what's in the urn? Baby formula. Oh. I placed a hand over my chest. The new heart inside beat stronger than ever. Go, go, go. Your bags are packed, right? Hurry, run now. You go first. I'll clean things up and catch up soon. That same night, I disappeared off to the country I'd prepared long ago. As for Luke, I don't know what happened next. Maybe he did love me. But now that he has Jessica, I'm probably long gone from his mind. These days, I'm thriving abroad. I got into a top university and am pursuing art. My professor says I'm a once-in-a-century genius. Looks like I'm not just a little monster, I'm a prodigy too. I lit a cigarette and took slow drags. In front of me was my final project. Got a light? A young man appeared beside me. I handed him my lighter without looking up. Thanks. And just like that, we sat and stood by the lake for hours. Before leaving, he said, "I'm Carlos. I think I saw you once 2 years ago, on the Lake Ring Expressway. It was him, the man who tried to save me. You've got the wrong person," I said with a smile. He pointed to his earlobe, where there was a faint red mole. "I noticed it when I was checking your carotid pulse. I asked the hospital, they all said you were dead." That was my first time trying to save someone, and I failed. I kept thinking if I had tried a little harder, known a little more, maybe you wouldn't have died. "I'm glad you're still alive." I looked at him. In the sunset, his face looked a little unreal. "Thank you. I'm still alive, but now I have to leave with my final project." I smiled at him. "I'm Carlos," he said, standing in front of me, enunciating each word. "Can you tell me your name?" I pointed to my chest. "I've been hurt here before. I don't dare share my name so easily anymore." With that, I turned and left without looking back. But just as one storm passed, another rolled in. As soon as I got back, I got a call from Kristen. She'd decided to stay in China for her career. Something big happened. Remember when we tried to bury that fake urn and Luke refused to let it happen? In the end, we had to keep it at my place. Today, I don't know what got into him, but he suddenly showed up and tried to take your urn. Of course I wouldn't give it to him. But in the struggle, the ashes spilled. Luke broke down on the spot, kneeling to gather what he thought were my remains. And let me tell you, that baby formula still smells rich and milky even after all this time. GG. Now I was the one losing it. I'd only had 2 peaceful years. "Kristen, for the sake of our sisterhood, please don't tell him where I am." "Too late, babe," he found out. "Okay, time to move again tonight." Mercury retrograde. For real. I ran into Carlos at the hotel. My final project was still strapped to my back. I couldn't afford to lose it. He acted like he didn't notice how flustered I looked. "Fancy seeing you again," he said with a smile. "Weren't you curious about my name?" "I'm Jennifer." "Jennifer?" I went silent. How did he already know my name? "Come with me. I know there's someone you don't want to see." He pointed to my chest. He was right. I hadn't canceled my ID after I faked my death. If Luke wanted to find me, he could, no matter where I ran. But now, I really didn't want to see him. Okay. Maybe it was impulse. Or maybe it was instinctive trust in someone who once tried desperately to save me. I followed him. "My final project's due tomorrow at noon," I said, a little worried. "I'll have someone deliver it for you." Carlos drove us to a manor, a European-style castle. The iron gate slowly opened, revealing a fountain nearly 3 meters tall. My inner self clenched its fists hard. So what if there's one more rich person in the world, me? "Luke won't find this place," Carlos said. I looked at him, half doubting. "Why are you helping me?" A thought crossed my mind. What if he knew my secret, that I couldn't die, and brought me here for secret experiments? Carlos smiled. "Miss Jennifer, do you know what it means to act on a whim? I wanted to help you, so I did. I won't trouble you for long. Once I've figured things out, I'll leave." "All right." According to Kristen, after my fake death, Luke was heartbroken. He told everyone I was his wife. Even after Jessica's surgery, he didn't visit her once. All I could do was laugh. Where was all that affection back when I needed it? Now he wanted to play the grieving lover? Disgusting. My professor called once, said a man named Gu came looking for me at school. When he found out I wasn't there, he waited outside the gates for days. Good thing I ran fast, or he would have caught me. "Don't move," I directed Carlos, now my personal figure model. It all started the day I accidentally walked in on him right after he showered. I'd been stunned. I used to just admire abs. But after studying art, I realized how shallow I'd been. Muscle structure and distribution were key to aesthetics. "Caught you staring?" I nodded. "Can you be my model?" My thoughts were laid bare. Just as I was getting embarrassed, Carlos nodded. And that's how he became my exclusive model. Almost there, this muscle's too perfect. I need time to sculpt it. Take your time. After a while, I gestured for Carlos to move freely, while I continued carving the fine details. Tell him I'm not seeing anyone. Carlos picked up the phone. Usually so gentle, his tone was now cold enough to freeze. Then let him play his game alone. As soon as the words left his mouth, I finished my sculpture. I looked at the life-sized figure in front of me, nodded in satisfaction. Done? Carlos hung up and walked over. I nodded and looked up at him. It's a gift for you. A gift? Carlos said in surprise. Yeah, for you. It's my first full-scale sculpture. I think it turned out great, so I wanted you to have it. I knew how that sounded, and I meant it. Carlos was silent for a long time, then said something completely out of the blue. Do you still love him? Now I was the one who went quiet. Of course not. I've always been someone who knows when to let go. Once I've decided something isn't worth it, I drop it, and it stays dropped. Just when Carlos seemed to be losing patience, I finally said, What makes you think I still love him? Was it when we spent every day together here? Was it when we went diving and I reached for your hand? Or was it when you were sick, burning with fever, and kissed me and I didn't pull away? I laughed. Then tell me, do you love me? Carlos asked cautiously. I stood up from the couch and looked at him, word by word. Do you really need me to spell it out? Love or not, you should be able to feel it. Kristen, I'm in love again. Silence on the other end. If Luke finds out, he'll go ballistic. My smile instantly vanished. Way to ruin a good moment. What did he do now? Nothing major, just keeps finding ways to ask about you. He wants to see you. See me for what? To watch me get all lovey-dovey with another man? How annoying. I already saved his white moonlight. Now he wants his red mole too? Jennifer, running won't solve anything. If you really want to be free of him, my advice, see him once. I hung up, rolled twice on the down blanket, then dialed that number. That night, I lay in Carlos's arms, staring out the floor-to-ceiling window at the heavy snow. The fire in the hearth crackled warmly. I'm going to meet him tomorrow. Carlos's hand paused in my hair. Okay. Should be done around 4. Can you pick me up? I want that little cake you bought me last time. Anything you want? Once this is over, you won't have to be so tired anymore. I don't want him intruding on our life. I sat up, kneeling on Carlos's lap, and looked into his eyes. On the third day, the city was blanketed in white. I chose a cafe near campus. Want something to drink? Luke had already been waiting when I arrived. Thanks, but I don't like coffee. Luke opened his mouth and finally said, Sorry. Sorry for what? For being with me 6 years and still not knowing what I like to drink? Seeing him again filled me with inexplicable irritation. I casually lit a cigarette. When did you start smoking? After you left me? I shook my head. I've always smoked. You weren't like this before. I sighed. I've always been like this. You just never noticed. You always wanted me to play Jessica. Pain washed over Luke's face. Jennifer, I know I've had so many chances, but can you give me one last one? Luke, that day really hurt. The car crash hurt like hell. I gave you 6 years of my youth. You gave me what I wanted. It was always a transaction. I was the one who asked for more than I deserved, and I paid the price. It wasn't greed. I just didn't see my heart clearly. Jennifer, the fact that you came today, doesn't that mean there's still a chance for us? I checked my watch. It was about time. There's no chance. I came to shut the door on this. And I got up and left. I pushed open the cafe door, and the first thing I saw was the man standing under the streetlight. Snow had started falling again, dusting his shoulders in white. In his hands was the very cake I'd wanted. A smile spread across my face as I ran toward him.